Hello students, welcome to all in this virtual classes. Students, in this video we will learn the Robert Browning's literary work and very famous poem Last Ride Together. Earlier, before that, I would like to explain that this class is meant only for the BA second year students. The title of the paper is Literature in English 1750 to 1900. Robert Browning, he is very famous poet. He is born in 1812 and 1809 and died in 1889. And the Last Ride Together, this poem also very famous poem or very renowned poem in his literary work. Robert Browning was born in Camberwell in London in 1812 and died in 1889. He is an English poet. Robert Browning is best known for his dramatic monologue. As in the earlier video, I have already explained the definition of dramatic monologue and its characteristics. Robert Browning's father was senior clerk in the Bank of England. It means that Robert Browning belongs to a middle class family, but due to his constant hard work, he has achieved and he has renowned all over the world. Robert Browning's mother was an excellent amateur pianist and gave him love of music. Robert Browning was a bright child. He was very intelligent and he created the masterpieces of jam and pencil at the age of 2 and attends day school as an infant. Means in his very earlier age he has started his primary education. Robert Browning went to school until 14. Means he has stopped his further education. Means until 14 years only he went to the school. Robert Browning's father decided he should be sent neither to a public nor a private school. Instead be taught at home by a tutor. Means Robert Browning's father's decision was that Browning will not attend any school or he will not go further study when he was only 14 years old. And that Robert Browning's father's decision was he would neither go to public or nor a private school. Means whatever he want to teach, that all the education Robert Browning will get at his home only by the tutor. Robert Browning's training including riding, fencing, boxing, singing and dancing along with the basics. In this slide, we will contemplate on the early poems and plays of the Robert Brownings. Robert Browning started his writing at the age of 6. Just you can imagine that. At the age of 6 only he has started his literary work. He has started the writings of the poems. Means we can imagine that how much Robert Browning is intelligent or bright children. First poem he has written, the first poem 1833. And the title of the poem is Pauline. His next poem is published, Paracelsus, in 1835. Robert Browning published Stratford, a tragedy produced by Marcodi at Covent Garden in 1837. Also, Robert Browning's very famous work, Sardolo, it was published in 1840. Robert Browning's collection of dramatic and miscellaneous poems under the general title of The Bells and Pomegranates issued between 1841 and 1846. After getting married with Elizabeth Barrett, he wrote Christmas Eve and Easter Day in 1850. Also, in the 1855, he wrote "And Men and Women." Robert Browning's wife's death, Elizabeth Barrett's death in 1861, he has published Dramatis Personae in 1864. Robert Browning was enormous dramatic narrative poem, The Ring and the Book, in 4 volumes published in 1868 to 1619. Robert Browning's last volume, Asolando, was published on the very day, December 12th, that he died in the Palazzo in Venice. By this time, he had conquered his public, and during the 20 remaining years of his life, his popularity was as great as Tennyson's. His fertility continued unabated, but except for occasional lyrics, it cannot be said that his numerous later writings did anything to add to his reputation. His last volume, Asolando, was published on the very day of December 12, as I have already told you, when before the died only. His last volume, Asolando, was published on December 12, and that he died in the Palazzo in Venice. Browning is as great a poet as a Tennyson, and hence the Victorian age is called the age of Tennyson and the Brownings. So, he is also a representative poet of that age. In contrast with Tennyson, Browning was bold, rugged, and altogether unconventional in matter and style and thought, never careless in his writing. He was too vehement and too impatient to bestow time and effort upon the polishing of his verse. Much of his work, and especially of his later work, is in consequences prolix and ill-digested. Students, in this way, Robert Browning was a very popular poet, very renowned poet at the Victorian age, and his era or his period was known as the age of Tennyson and the Brownings. I hope, students, you have understood or all the deep contemplation or deep information about the Robert Browning's lifespan and his literary work. So, students, thank you very much, and see you in the next video.